Council Holly, we approach you tonight with gracious thankfulness for all the blessings that we have upon this earth. We ask that as we have our meeting tonight, that you will help us to understand the honeybee and its endeavors. Help us to treat them in a way that they will prosper and survive. Later on, as we take of the food, we ask you to bless it to our bodies and our bodies to thy service in Christ's name. Amen.
I'd say we've got a pretty full agenda tonight. I've asked John Ferris, Farrell. John Farrell. Anyway, John is the UT Extension agent over in Winchester, and I went to one of their master beekeeping classes that they had over there, and I was impressed with John and all the things that they do over there, and we'll ask him to come up and speak to us in a minute. And, you got something to say? Huh? Of course, we got minutes. I knew that I wouldn't make it through this meeting doing all of Robert's rules. I even tried to find them where I could read it. I won't follow them anyway. There you go.
All right, this is the November minutes because we had the Christmas party in December. Keith Ray opened the November meeting and welcomed 30 members and 1 visitor. He asked Lynn Hurley to lead us in prayer. Minutes were read and approved. Elections were held and the following offices were filled. President, John Sane. Vice President, Joe Moffitt. Secretary Treasurer, Kay. Librarian, Mary Bell. Delegates will be Danny Cummins, Lynn Hurley, Darwin Gooch, Andy Evans, and the alternate is Joe Moffitt. All positions were by acclamation. Meeting adjourned with refreshments, and our current bank balance is $1,598.80. And while I'm standing up here, if you have not ordered bees, and you're ordering from Willow Banks Bees, I got an email message that their first order of 500 packages is filled. So if you want to order Willow Banks Bees, they'll have a second order that will come in around May 1st. So if you need to order bees, see me and I will give you a phone number for Susan and Bobby.
All right, that's our old business. Our new business, I guess, coming up is, of course, our new Beekeepers Club class, and that's held next month, and we've got a lot of work to do on it. But I guess we'll get to that pretty soon. And got anything you need to say about that? Huh?
Am I going to teach it?
Well, you're always welcome to do whatever you'd like to do. We'll ask John if he'd like to come on up and speak to us. Would you like my chair? I'll get back here where I can watch you.
You said it, you okay.
I'm scared to be that close.
I'm not gonna sit down.
Okay.
It's bad. Me and Heath went to training today, and they told us that certain situations we're only supposed to give our opinions. So, anyway, this is real right at home giving opinion to a bee club. But he didn't give me a specific topic, but what I wanted to hit on a little bit, I'll talk a little bit about some things that our club does and some things that I think is going to be very important for the coming year. Our club was formed in 2001, and we started with a core group of about 8 or 10 families. And it started by these people coming in with my father, my grandfather had bees. Our county, Franklin County, in about early 80s, through all of the 80s, we were a really big beekeeping county, and it was because we had crimson clover. Crimson clover basically fueled the beekeeping deal down our way. So we had about 134 registered beekeepers in the late 80s. And then the mites came in because we didn't have education. We didn't have clubs. People were keeping bees the old way. They went out, put supers on in the spring, they robbed honey, they closed them up, caught swarms all year, and basically when the mites came in, it just devastated all of those beekeepers. So those core group of people came in and said, we want to gonna try to learn to keep bees, and we did a lot of things, working on controlling mites with medication, bringing genetics in, that sort of thing. And then our club formed in 2001, and it's grown to, basically, it's almost unmanageable. And we've had groups that's branched off, and we're really happy to have new clubs branch off. We got help from the Duck River Club. It was probably one of the oldest clubs down our way that was still functioning. And we try to keep it interesting. We try to have some type of educational topic at every meeting. We have officers that are taking on more and more of the workload, and it's worked really well. One of the early things we did to help our clubs, we got tax exempt status. We, some years we'd order $25,000 worth of equipment. We'd group order. I wound up sorting trailer loads of equipment for days. We sort of curtailed a little bit of that, but we still will have people that'll, you know, say, I'm going to Kelly's, or we're putting an order in, and that sort of helps the new beekeepers. How many in here are actually new beekeepers, don't even have bees?
I did have.
Y'all are starting the right way. We have a beginning course. We've held ours every year. We used to hold it in April. We moved back to February because the package orders were selling out. Ours is going to be the second week in February, Tuesday and Wednesday, or Tuesday and Thursday night of that week. You want to start with bees by being a member or joining one of these clubs, and it helps you because you have area beekeepers that maybe have had bees for 30, 40, 50 years. We have a lot of people that go through the bee course, they never get bees. We have a lot of them that go through the course, they get bees, and they don't like it. We have a lot of people that go through the course and get bees, and they're always scared to do anything with them. Beekeeping is a hands-on learning experience. I tell this story. I got my first bees in '96. I had a mentor friend that I met from Bell Buckle. His family probably had bees since the Mayflower came over. I made all the mistakes. I made every one of them. I got greedy one time. I wanted honey, so I took honey off, it fermented. I killed about probably 10 hives starting out. And over the years, I've had as many as 40. I think this year, going into fall, I had about 47 hives. But I learned early on, after about 7 or 8 years, I hate welfare bees. That's bees that you have to feed, that you have to rob, brood from other hives and put in. If they can't make it on their own, I don't want them. And I think part of the problem that we've gotten into is when these mites came in, the government, researchers brought bees in from all of these other countries, and they mongrelized these queens. We want to fight mites, so we fought mites, but we gave up stayability, we gave up egg laying capacity, we gave up, we started swarming hives that swarm more. We brought in probably bees that are mean. I know Russian bees. I had Russian bees. We had an experiment at the office. We had a Russian hive, and they were fine until they requeened. And they'd meet you when you left the office. We had to actually move some of them. They got so mean. But I think in the 90s and early 2000s, they started bringing these genetics in and crossing our queens. And it led us to having queenless hives. It led us to bringing bees that weren't adapted to Middle Tennessee. And I think that's one of our big problems right now. Everybody wants to blame it on the colony collapse and all this. And then about 2006, 2007, we started getting hive beetles. Hive beetles added another equation because our queens were building up, they were swarming, then we were going 28, 30 days without egg laying, and the small hive beetles come in and they help finish those hives up. So now I think one of our biggest concerns in our club, or even in this area, is small hive beetles. Small hive beetles is gonna be our big problem. From a standpoint of, you get small hive beetles in your hive, and your bees get fed up, and they just leave. We've done experiments, we've tried beetle blasters, we've tried the first little beetle jails. We've got a system now that we're sort of pushing, and I've got to get on board myself because I've got all these hives and I've got to retrofit them. I think we need a West beetle trap on the bottom. That's your oil trays or your diatomaceous earth. I think we need beetle blasters in the hive. I think we need traps of any kind. I designed a inner cover trap, and well, it was a real good thought. And one of my beekeepers came in the office and I drew it out, and he went and made me one. And I think it's when you were down for one of, he brought it in, I said, this thing's gonna work, it's like sliced bread. Well, I went and put it on and it worked. We caught about, I'd say 1,500, 2,000 beetles in about a 24, 25 hour period. Well, a bunch of the other beekeepers, we looked at it and said, well, we'll make a bunch more of them. Well, they started making them. They couldn't get theirs sealed. I couldn't get the next one I made sealed. Water won't work in there. Water, that beehive will evaporate that water quickly. A big strong hive will, if you put water, dishwashing liquid on top, I tried that, and it'll last about 2 days. They'll blow that moisture out of that hive. You want to put oil in that tray, and that oil, we've had trouble finding caulk that'll survive that oil. That oil breaks that caulk down, and then you'll have oil going in your hive. You don't want that. But that thought was really good. Basically, it was an inner cover lined with you can use that corrugated sign material. I had some waterproof signage. We lined the inner cover, and we caulked it, and then we put a number 6 screen over the top of your inner cover where your bees just couldn't wholesale come and get over in that oil. And that trap worked really well.
Did you use that in conjunction with a regular inner cover?
It was the inner cover.
That was the.
That was the inner cover. It was an inner cover trap. I thought, boy, this thing will work. And it did. It worked like sliced bread. That way I didn't have to go. I wasn't wanting to put West beetle traps, adapt all my bottom boards. But then the next one I built, couldn't get it sealed. So then we had 5 or 6 people. They were using everything from regular clear silicone caulk to 5 different types of caulk. We even went back to the one that the guy built mine, and it wouldn't work. Maybe he held his mouth right when he put it together. I think this spring I'm going to test another one that I've got some, it's not Flex Seal. Flex Seal won't work. Flex Seal won't bond with that wood. I want to get it where I can make the wood inner cover and just seal the wood, make it simple. So I got some, and I don't even know what brand it is, but it's like, almost like roofing, but it's liquid. You're not supposed to let it freeze. And I treated, it got so cold when I was doing it. I got 2 of them treated, and I've been testing them. I fill them up with oil and let them set level and see if it migrates out. But that oil, something about that oil, when the day you were there for the master of the hobbyist beekeeping program, a guy went with me when we recovered it, and that oil kills those beetles so quick. I mean, a beetle, small high beetle, when he hits that cooking oil, lasts probably 4 or 5 seconds. It smothers them that quick. We've had a lot of people use diatomaceous earth in the bottom trays and, or lime. And any little bit of moisture that crust over and these beetles can get out of it. So I think the components you gotta have is oil to kill them. We also found that, beetle blasters, y'all seen the beetle blasters that go, shim goes on your hive, those seem to work good. But you can't put, if you're in a bee yard, you can't put 5 beetle baffles on 5 hives and leave 5 that don't have it. All your beetles will migrate to the 5 that don't have it. So that's a take-home message. I think anything you need to do in that apiary, you need to do to all of those hives. You don't need to leave 1 or 2 out there without your, whatever you're gonna do. But I'm at the point now in my beekeeping where I think I think all of them need to be retrofitted with some type of bottom tray, traps maybe in them, and then if we can figure this trap out on top. And also, you don't need any cracks in your beehive. Those small hive beetles go to those cracks and get in the hives. We tried the felt in top, that seems to work. But you gotta be prepared when you take the top off to get that felt over in a bucket of dishwasher liquid or something. Regular old Crafters felt or the little shandy towels, they catch a lot of beetles. I think another important thing that beekeepers can do is keep your hives in full sun. I've got my apiary at home, and I've been meaning to move it for years, but what I do every time I catch a swarm, I mean, it's 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and that's where I wind up taking it back half shade, half sun. That's a perfect storm for small hive beetles. One of the worst cussings I took in about 2003 was, we had an old beekeeper, lived in Alabama, but he also had a home on the mountain in Franklin County. And he would make all kinds of gadgets. He'd come in the office and we started an apiary out back. And at that time, everybody wanted your bees, evening shade. He'd come in there with you and said, "You're gonna burn those bees up. Them bees in full sun, they're roasting out there in the sun." And boy, he chewed me up and down. But I can say the oldest hives I've got are in full sun. You don't have the small hive beetle populations in full sun. You just don't. They don't like those hives. And I don't know why I've got a hive in a bamboo thicket. And I mean, it's in a bamboo thicket. In the spring, I have to cut 20 feet just to get to it. They don't like it. I don't know if they hadn't found it, the smell or something about that bamboo. We got a lot of members that are planting mint around their hives. They seem to have less small hive beetles. But I will tell you, as a club, that's something y'all need to work on, is whatever worked on small hive beetles. Because you can have a hive going gangbusters. We raised 150 mating queens last year, and we'd have them in a nuke, we'd put them into a full hive. 3 days later, they were gone. The only thing we can relate it to is the small hive beetles ran those bees off. When you got a newly mated queen that's laying 3 and 4 frames a day, and then you move her up into a big box, and they're gone in 3 days. We had some left and then came back. They'd leave the box they were in and come back and wind up on the side of another box. And it was small hive beetles. I know that's what it was. So small hive beetles is going to be the biggest challenge. That and getting queens from Middle Tennessee. I think we need to promote a lot of queen raising in Middle Tennessee. And what I'm trying to do on my own hives is strongest survive, less medication. If you find foul brood, you just need to burn it.
What does small hive beetle look like? Medium hive?
They're little,
What in that?
no, about the best thing I can relate them to is a black ladybird. Now, under a microscope, they look fierce. They're really tough. They're really tough. Yeah. A lot of times you touch them and they'll roll over. I know there's male and female. Female is supposed to be a whole lot bigger, and I've often thought there was more than one type of small hive beetle, but I don't think that's research has proven that there's more than one type that we have. One thing too, last year was a perfect storm for them. We didn't have any winter. We had major small hive beetle populations February, March when we were trying to raise queens. The man from Shelbyville, Edwin Holcomb, brought a mother hive for us to graft out of, and his were in the shade at home. We had to take that mother hive and we found the queen, we shook every frame through a queen excluder and a screen into a tub of dishwashing liquid. We had half a quart jar of dead small hive beetles. And that was from only a Deep and an Illinois. That's what he brought me. So that's probably 3,000 or 4,000 right there we killed.
What is it, how big is that small hive beetle? Like the end of a ballpoint pen or like the other end?
There's different sizes, but about as big as you'll see is the end of a eraser.
Like having the end of the ball.
Maybe 2/3 of that. You'll know it. You'll know it when you get it. Everybody's got them. But if I wanna find them, if I wanted to find them last summer, the two hives where I had the little special, those are in the back of they're shaded probably 2/3 of the day. They're in a privet head sticky. And I've specifically been doing special things to those. But they were really very strong hives. If they weren't strong hives, they'd have been killed. Keeping your hive strong, keeping excess equipment off. Used to in 2002, 3, 4, 5, when I'd go put supers on, I'd put 5 boxes on at a time. In Winchester, or the Franklin County area, about a 5-mile radius around Winchester, about the best place in the world to keep bees. I mean, I've had hives make 9 supers on it. At home, at Monroe College, I live about a half a mile from Monroe College, not near the honey production. If we miss privet hedge, poplar, and locust, sometimes we get locusts, we won't have a honey club. Now, when you're in the Winchester area, you got locust, clover, all that, the soil type's different, make a lot of honey. But I'd go and stack 5 boxes high, and I wouldn't worry about it. You do that now, in 2 weeks, small hive beetles take your hive over. So small hive beetles is gonna be the thing that I think we need to work on. I'll take a few questions. I'm standing between y'all and Ethan. I ain't
I
done
got
nothing but-
just a little bit off the hive beetles.
Yeah.
Last fall, I wanted to move my bees about 100 yards. And I was talking with John down at Little Creek Bees. And he says, all you gotta do is close them up in the evening, so you get them all, move them to the new site. Well, I did. Well, I lost my bees just like that. But my question is, I put them on a stand that I had just built out of yellow wood. Would the poisons in that yellow wood kill them, do you think? I'm just worried about what killed them, you know?
I can tell you about moving that distance. If it had rained for a week, or say it's cold like we had last week, I wouldn't mind moving them that distance. But if it's warm like today, they were out flying, I'm sure. I wasn't at home, but I know they were out flying.
I had bees that deep in the bottom of the eye.
That, the yellow wood's got some toxins in it. I would say-
Since last fall.
I wouldn't. They may have got lost. They may have got chilled.
Because I kept an eye on the area where they were, and I never.
They never did wad up.
There never was any bees there.
They could have been in there.
Feeders in there Wednesday night, I moved them on Monday night, put feeders in Wednesday night. opened them up Friday night, and when I did the feeders, that didn't touch. And there wasn't a cup full of honey between the two hives.
One thing that a lot of people were having last fall happen, they were top feeding in the hives, and the bees would come in and kill them off.
I can go into my next question, because the guy across the road from me, he don't live there, but he's got 18 hives over there. About 200 yards from where I'm trying to get a beehive started.
They may have robbed you.
And I've been asking somebody to give me a straight answer whether I'm beating my egg.
My personal thought was, they got robbed to death. The Yellowwood, I don't see that being a problem.
Well, they bad about robbing if you feed them inside the hive.
In the fall, because it was so dry, and your little cans was probably dripping a little bit, and if they ever give you that scent on the bottom board or anywhere else, wham.
Well, I used quart jars with the holes in them. They took the front feeders instead of having the front, set them inside the hive with extra,
I had a man
heating super in it.
tell me, and I think it was at the bee convention at Cookville, that he had a whole apiary that basically robbed each other and killed about 20 hives. And that was just a perfect storm because of the drought. I'm feeding mine now outside the hive. When I can remember to go to the bar and get sugar, mix it, pour it in, I'm feeding 10 gallons at a time in a chicken feeder. But it's out a little bit away from the hive. You don't want that moisture in your hive in the wintertime. But let them come and rob and take what they want and pack it in the sales. But I don't feed bees much.
How often can you go into a beehive and poke around and look at it without getting them upset and wanting to leave?
It depends on how good you are when you're in there. Most people, when I was learning, I just couldn't stay out of the darn thing. After you kill a queen or two, hey, I had a queen and I begged for queens from the bee lab in Baton Rouge. The guy sent me 6, had a real good beekeeper, I gave him 2 of one color. They gave me 4 of one type and 2 of another. I gave him one that I had 4, so that left me 3, and then I had a white one, gave him a white mark queen, I kept a white mark queen. I had them out back playing with them, and I was trying to get more and more of that white one because I only had 2. Well, I had it going good. He called me about a month after we put them in. He said, they killed my white queen, so I was down to 1 white queen. And we had 4 of the yellow queens. I still got some of those genetics from that Greenwood. But my one white queen I had in a little nuke box, what I'd do every so many days, when she'd lay a frame full, I'd go and mark it and let them make queen cells, put it in another box. Well, I had it going good, I thought. And we had a field day, and we pulled one of those frames out, and all these queens are hatching. And evidently, they killed each other. So there's about 5 queens emerging on that frame. Evidently, they killed each other. Well, I went back in my white hive. I was going to do it again. And I went all through that hive, and they were blowing. I said, I have dropped my queen out on the ground.
What do you mean blowing?
Blowing, just roaring,
Oh,
making noise, like they were queenless. I said, something's up. I said, this is a 5-frame nuke. There's no way that I've lost this queen. I got over to the first frame that I pulled out, and there's my white queen. I'd rolled her and killed her. And I said, well, I'm fine. There's eggs. They never made another queen. They just didn't like it. They never made another queen, so I lost my white strain. But going in them is, I'm a bull in a china shop. But I can find the queen really quick. So if I find the queen really quick, I'll put her in a safe place. Then I can do whatever. But now if you go in them the wrong time of the day, or wet day, or it's too cold, or too windy, they're gonna get ill. But
Because what he's saying, I have the ones I had, doing here like this. These full frames, look at them, and it's like they pinch one or caught one between the frame, hive and hand.
But I'll warn you about that. We had one of our most experienced beekeepers He was sort of a mentor to me, he helped me, and he was in the Air Force, at Andrews Air Force Base or somewhere, and they get bee swarms would come to those engines. Well, he'd carry them home in a cardboard box in the back seat of his car or in his truck, he'd put them in his hives. We had a bunch of hives behind the office. They was about 150 yards from the front door. And he was bad about wearing a green Izod short sleeve shirt and just a veil. We went out there one day, and I'll never forget it. We smoked them all, and he opened the first hive, and when he did, you couldn't see that green shirt. And what it was, they had queen cells. So you gotta watch. New beekeepers, anybody, you need to watch. You don't know what's happened between the last time you was in there and this time. And most of our people that have gotten in trouble with bee stings wasn't prepared with a suit. And I'm bad about being rough. You know, a lot of times sometimes I'll leave my gloves, sometimes I won't. But I wear that suit. Because they can change. They can change in a heartbeat.
And that suit won't protect you. I'm living
The
proof.
suit will only get you by enough to get out. But he probably got, he wasn't allergic, he probably got 20 or 30 stings. But the bad part about it, and I can tell you all this because of personal experience. In Winchester, last year, it was the second week of March. I could go by a hive and I could watch the entrance. If I walked by, I could tell how they came out. Well, they had queen cells in them. They protect those queen cells. Now, a new beekeeper is sort of hard for them to realize that queen cell is their mode of protection. They get aggressive. Most every hive will get aggressive if they're protecting those queen cells. So, at home, the thing that I've learned is the environment dictates a lot of what happens. At home, I'm 1,096 elevation or so. I've checked it on my phone. And I'm about 4.5 weeks behind at home what I am at Winchester. I drive 24 miles to the office, and I have bees around closer. Sometimes I have them at the office. And I'm 4.5 weeks earlier in Winchester than I am at home. So you gotta watch your bees and know your area. But protection, I like those ventilated suits. I think they're getting as close to sting proof as we can get.
Unless you forget to zip them up.
Or you wind up with a hole around my elastic, I guess on my gut, it wears out real bad, and it'll sag. When they get in there, you're gonna get stung. Yeah.
I've heard that you can put salt out around your beehive and that'll help control hive bee. Is there any truth to that?
I tested it. And salt will probably be better on your weed control. But you can sterilize the area with salt or it will never grow grass again. Well, vinegar is basically 2,4-D. It's a herbicide. That's, a lot of the truth was, or a lot of the thinking was you could treat and drench around your hives with permethrin and that sort of thing. You can't keep the concentration high enough. I've always wanted to find one of those real pretty fish ponds and build me a float and put a real good screen bottom board and float a hive, just feed the fish. That would have to work. But I like putting tin down under mine because I hate weed. You don't like weed, I hate weed eating in front of it. I spray Roundup a lot, keep the weeds down. I think ventilation and keeping those hives in the sun will probably help you better than anything you do. I'll take another question or two.
Throw one last one at you, and I'll shut up for the night. I plan on, if I get the money together, to get some bees from Wolf Creek. And he's talking about
4.9.
4.9 cones and mongrel bees, a mixture between Russian, Italian, and Carolina. And I just wondered if you had any experience with it.
I had a 4.9, 7 or 8 years ago, when he came, and we buy a lot of packages from him, they're as good as anybody else's. And the club said, well, let's just try those 4.9Bs. So I made sure a couple of them came, we put all the cones together, make sure it's 4.9. I think it takes more small bees probably to do the same amount of work. Seemed like they laid a little more brood, tighter, but there was more of them. There's more little bees on that cone. If you don't do anything, they're gonna revert back to regular size bees.
He mentioned getting money together, the FDA has approved, low emission zones
Mhm,
because of the drought and everything,
mhm,
so we'll go by there and maybe apply.
One thing that's helped me, we was talking out here earlier, swarms are a bad way for people to start. You know, I like them because they're free bees, but I know what I'm getting. And I think when you take a swarm home, you need to take it to a special place. You're bringing problems home. Why did they swarm? Were they in a hollow tree that's got diseases? I think when I quit bringing as many swarm homes, I solved a lot of my foul brood problems. I've had very few swarms, and I'll be honest, I've had very few swarms make it through the winter. They'll make it September and then they crash because you're getting an old queen. I think if you start with a good package or a queen that you've raised out of some of your hives, I think you'll do a lot better. Swarms are good for drawing combs, and that's basically it. I've made a lot of honey with swarms. But if you don't learn anything, what I tell you tonight, protect your combs. If a hive dies right now, I'm not worried. If a hive dies in the summertime and I'm busy 3 days, I've got a wax moth mess and then I've got a fire started. But if your hive dies now, you know, they come into the meeting Monday night at our bunch, oh, I've lost this many hives, I lost me, but they've got their combs. As long as the mouse is not in there eating it up. You can take those drawn combs. If you go in the winter with 20 hives and you lose 10 of them, and you protect those combs, you got a lot of your work already done. Wax is gold in beekeeping. Clean wax without any foul brood or diseases will really help.
What do you typically do to keep yours in a building?
I store mine with a lid down and dichlorobenzene crystals.
Moth crystals,
The dichlorobenzene.
mothballs.
Not mothballs, not naphthalene. And you've got to take some time to air those out before you put them on.
How long, 3 or 4 days?
I'd say 3 or 4 days outside if it's good and windy. Don't do like I used to do an air deal in the back of the truck. It says on the label, it'll tell you that stuff, if you do a lot of research, you can kill your bees. But by the time spring comes, a lot of those crystals have already evaporated. It's not like putting the crystals on today and waiting a week and then going to get them. A lot of your chemicals already evaporated. I think it says if it's real fresh, like 2 weeks. But by the time spring comes, a lot of it's already gone.
But if you don't put them on there, you'll have to find the biggest mess you've ever seen in your life.
I don't know how those things survive, but I've heard tell that people's put them in a freezer that had some in there alive, and that they formed a mass cocoon, and they were alive in there a long time after that. Put in the freezer. Another thing, you need to make sure they're sealed good. You can have all the crystals on them, and if you got a crack and you get a mouse in there, that mouse will ruin every one of them supers. It'll make him a big old cozy rat's nest. I've had that. That's sickening. put your brand new pretty combs that you harvested in the fall, took honey out of it. They got a big old hole in the hole, and they'll eat 4 frames from the top of that stack to the bottom. And they'll have a nest in there about like a squirrel's nest. And they'll never fix that. They'll make drone combs or something. But anytime we can help our club or whatever, but I think the new beekeepers, it's the best way for them to start is come to a beginning course and get a mentor. I had mentors that helped me, but I still think the beginning people, you need to bite the bullet. You're going to have to make some mistakes to learn. But thanks for inviting me. I hope I've given something that might help you.
Appreciate it, thank you. What he said kind of struck home because it reminded me of the guy that we had from Cookville that came back and he was talking about the same thing where you do not need to put extra grown comb in with a new, or put it in a whole box. Because he says you can't imagine how many hive beetles move in. And this friend of mine, he bought 4 boxes of bees last year. He let them all die. This year I started trying to help him, and I thought we had a gold mine because I'd saved his comb, and I put some in there, and we had a tremendous problem with hive beetles. And when that guy said that last time, it's like a light bulb. He said you're better off to put just wax foundation in there and not put so much in there. And I thought, that's probably why Scotty and I lost 2 out of the 4 hives that we started again this year. So I think you're right, and I appreciate that that you shared with us. And it's keeping up with these things like that helps us all. Maybe we can finally get a little smarter before I die or run out of money buying bees.
If you did not get an email from me this week reminding you about this meeting, please come give me your email address. DTC changed their email and lost some of my email contacts. So if you didn't get an email this week, please come give me your email address again. And I'm also taking some dues and TBA dues tonight if you got the money.
Well, if everybody's got 3 or 4 more minutes, I got one thing that I'd like to show you right here. Don't know if it means anything to anybody, but did anybody watch NPT this last week? Great show, wasn't it? I called that guy, got excited about it. It wasn't so much as bees. We've seen bees, I got bees, I understand all that stuff. But when he started talking about mason bees, I said, I like that. And I'll tell you the reason I like that. I like being able to help people. When I have people that come and say, I've got 10 acres of blueberries out here, you want to bring some bees over? And I'm thinking, I can't keep them alive, watch them at my house. And I'm certainly not going to take my bees and run them up to this guy's blueberry patch or blackberry patch up at Grootley Logger. You know where Grootley Logger is? You can't get there from here. It's a ways up on the mountain. And I'd like to help him, and I appreciate his problem. He's got blackberries, but he says, my crop is terrible. I need some pollinators. I said, you need to get in a bee club. And he said, no, I'm afraid of bees. I don't want bees. So if you listen to that guy's explanation of what mason bees do, mason bees are a little solitary bee. They live in tubes. These little tubes, you can stack them up in any kind of a box. And they go in here and they lay their eggs. They'll lay mud at the back. They'll lay pollen and nectar and lay an egg. And they come on out and they lay another little bit of mud. And they do this until they get out to the end of the tube. Often one's about 6 inches. What they do is they lay the females in the back. and at the front, they put the males. And guess what? Males hatch out first, and they get up here, and they're ready for the females to come out where they can jump right there. And anyway, it is strange design, but it's kind of a great thing. And so they've got these little trays that you can route out. You've got these things, like I spent about 2 or 3 hours today drilling, making those. And they've got these cardboard tubes that you can buy. It's got the little liners. So what you want to be able to do at the end of the year is be able to pull these liners, these things, you want to be able to pull those out and take all these cocoons. They've got all the methods about how you take these cocoons up. You'll get a wood mite or different things in there that you're going to look for and kill them. But you can actually take these cocoons and put some chlorine in water and wash these out. Now, if you think these are just free, go buy you some. These cocoons cost, they're selling anywhere I found 50 cents a piece to $1. And you need a 1.5 to 1 ratio of males to females. So if you got 4 female cocoons, which are bigger ones, you want, 6 males that you get. But 1 mason bee will pollinate what 100 honeybees will do. So you can't get any honey from them. They don't sting you. They're, not a whole lot of work. But I thought that's a great thing for beekeepers to tell somebody that's got orchards or things like that how he can pollinate his crops. And it's not hard to do. We'll see if it's not hard to do. I thought beekeeping wasn't hard to do. But that was wrong. There's a lot of literature up here. If you'd like to take a look at it afterwards or ask me what I barely know, be glad to.
And I'm asking because I had a lady call me right before Christmas and say she wanted to get some for her sister. And I said, I do honeybees.
Ground bee sells them. If you look on, what's the bee supply that you get the bee from? It's not Brushy Mountain, but it's, huh? No? No, it's one up in back east of Man Lake, but it's the other one. No. They've got them on their front of their webpage where they sell them. They sell you the whole kit. You can buy as many cocoons as you want, and all that. You put the cocoons, after you collect these, you put them in the refrigerator. They stay in the refrigerator all winter long. Can't shove them up in plastic bags, they'll get moist. And my wife's gonna love this when I try it. But you put them in a box, and you put them in your refrigerator, and you wait until in the springtime, where you can take them out and put them up. You want them to hatch and emerge at around 55-degree temperature. And they pollinate only a couple hundred yards from where you put them out. So they're not like they're going to do a world business. They're for your garden or for your place, or for your orchard. So it's a fascinating subject. I love learning any of this stuff. So if you have got interest in it, let me know. I just thought I'd get that for free. Anything else?
You need to talk a little bit about the beginner's course. What time does it start, where it's going to be held?
Okay. We're going to have the beginner's course over. Joe, what's the name of the place?
Shangri-La at the church building on Shangri-La Lane.
562 Shangri-La Lane, it's at the intersection of Highway 55 and Shangri-La Lane.
Okay.
If you don't know where that is, it's out here towards, where Active Lawn and Garden. They're on the right, but they're on the left when you get there. On that road, it's a big church.
We're going to start at 8 o'clock and we'll finish up about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Lunch is provided you all bring
Bring some.
lunch.
Bring what you want to eat for another person, huh?
Yes. We usually have like chili and beef stew and taco chili, and so we usually have enough food because all of you all have been very good about bringing lunch. but it'll start at 8, and the cost is, I said $30. It's $10 for the club dues, $10 for the state dues, and $10 for beekeeping in Tennessee book. The beekeeping in Tennessee book is only, it cost me $7. But I hated to say, okay, the cost is $27. It's easier to say $30. If it's a couple, if it's a husband and wife, then it's $50, because I don't need one book. So, is there any other questions I can answer?
Or is it just for those,
No, I asked for our club members to come and help. I mean, you get the food ready and help set up the tables and, because in the morning, we have, I have 53 slides that I show. And then I usually show a video. And then in the afternoon, we actually put hives together. So I need somebody to put some hives to put together because the 3 grant hives that I've asked for will not be in until the next week after we have our big class. So I'll need some hives to put together that day and frames for people to get an idea of how to put this stuff together. I'm sorry, what? Keith is.
He's gonna go pick up boxes. He's gonna get boxes down there. I'm gonna try to go in about a month. So somebody buy some from, and give Keith the money and bring them to the club, and we'll name them together. A month, that's all.
Darwin and I keep them in stock all the time.
All right.
We've got 16 foot trailers just loaded down with all that stuff.
I've also asked last time if anybody be willing to have an apiary session at your apiary. If you can do that, let me know or Kay know. I'd like to have one Saturday a month that we can meet at somebody's and watch them go through their hives. I think it's important that we see that. And you know, I said earlier, it's great to have a mentor. And my mentor taught me a lot, and I appreciate everything he did. But you need to go help them instead of them coming to help you. You know, there's just X amount of time a person has.
Miss Annie wants, don't do that to me. Miss Annie wants us to come to her place.
That'd be great. We need to pick up a Saturday and once a month go somewhere for the new beekeepers to go look. Now, if you got bees and you know they're just trying to suck around and get some free help, you know better. But new people that hadn't ever seen that need to get their hands dirty and find out really if they want to have bees or not. So if you can do that, let us know and we'll try to get work out a schedule where we can go to a different apiary once a month at on Saturday. Anything else?
They may not know it, but Warren County Co-op does have some bee supplies out there.
Warren County Co-op's got some that I know of. Ace can order them, they don't keep any. The guy that I got all the bees from last year, guy's name is Bruno Frazier. He's got bees that he says they'll be $100 for a 3-pound package and a queen. And we're going to get them about the end of March. So if anybody wants some of those, Bruno's going to bring them up to my house. Just make sure I got the money and let me know that you want some, and we'll put an order in. I think we got about 40 from him last year. I'm not trying to promote his bees. I'm just telling you there's a place that I know that we can get bees. But let me know, because I'll be placing that order with him. You know, probably end of February for sure. Get us on the list. Anything else?
Can I answer any more questions about the big class? Did I answer everything you need?
What date is it?
February the 18th.
February the 18th.
Come and watch. It's hilarious to watch Keith and some of them nail hives together. They still got their thumbs though. It's a surprise. Yeah, because they take a screw gun and put it in, drill the hole first.
Okay, my mind is blank. Deanna, what's your husband's name?
Eugene.
Eugene. My mind went blank, that's Alzheimer's kicking in, I guess.
It's okay.
Eugene has put together a website for us. If you would like to have anything put on the website, they have their email address here that you can send them something and they'll put it on the website. I have several of these that we can tear off and give it to you. And I don't have anything else.
Anything else anybody's got? Danny?
He's also, I guess everybody knows, he's also videoing their meetings now. And,
I thought it was Wilson.
they'll be up on, Facebook, I assume, or probably on our webpage.
There's a guy that's been suing a buddy of mine that I graduated with from taking a video of things. It's kind of a scary thing. You're not gonna turn this in, are you?
Just make a suggestion, if you're sitting beside somebody you're not supposed to be sitting beside.
That would probably be Danny. All right. Anything else?
I'm just gonna say, if anybody needs any smoke overkill, I got about 3 garbage bags of flowers.
Yeah, I got a few too.
If
Sir,
there's somebody who signed in the sheet in the back,
Oh,
that
yes.
we can sign in.
can sign in, please.
Yes, if you didn't sign in, I got the sheet here.
Anything else from anybody? Look forward to seeing you next month. You got our numbers. If you need anything, call. Feel free to ask. Don't know if we can do anything, but we'll try.
Is the meeting gonna be here next month?
We think next there, upstairs.
It'll be the,
Upstairs. It depends, it looks good.